Hey Instagram, it's Maha here. Check that I've got that up. Today's been a day of deep thought for me, and I've been feeling very, very concerned about many mothers that I'm speaking with. Mothers who are very conscious about the way in which they have raised their children. And I'm feeling very concerned about what's happening in the world in relation to freedom and the right to choose, coming from that lens of birthing and mothering and parenting. And I've been writing a bit this morning because what's coming up is very much in similar frame to when I was in the worldwide media advocating for extended or breastfeeding your child for as long as you wished to breastfeed them, and the attacks that I was thrown from mainstream media. And I'm seeing the same thing happening now with what's going on with the COVID-19 and, people's rights being taken away, especially for parents. And what I wanted to start with is that when we are approached by the mainstream media, or when we want to speak our truth as conscious parents from that perspective, we are often put in positions where we have to justify and defend the decisions that we make. And often those decisions are more in alignment with nature or Mother Nature's law, or listening to our bodies and following the guidance of our bodies when it comes to birthing, feeding our children, in my case breastfeeding for 8.5 years with my daughter, and the more conscious attachment kind of choices that we make as parents. And I was put in that position, so really it was like a distraction from the true essence of who I was making these decisions around the health and well-being of my children. And I have birthed 3 children, all very, very healthy, rarely been to see a doctor. And, not just health in a physical sense, but health in an emotional and spiritual sense, which is of, such value and importance. These are the kind of decisions that we are making as mothers through pregnancy and as we come to give birth. What is it that my body is asking of me? What is it my baby is asking of me? How does this soul want to be brought into the world? And yes, that can sometimes be through a surgical birth or a cesarean or a, medicated birth. But it seems to be that for those of us who are choosing a more natural path, and we're not even allowed to say the word natural, it's absolutely ridiculous. But we need to always be, explaining ourselves and why we have chosen that route. And what's going on now is, there's a big push for mandating of vaccines, for example. And, it doesn't matter where you sit on that spectrum, full vaccination or deciding not to vaccinate. It's really a question of freedom of choice, of choosing what you believe is best for your family, your baby, your children, your circumstance, without the coercion and the manipulation and the deceit around that. So it's really important that we don't lose this right to choose, for any of us, to choose what goes into our bodies, to choose the harm that could possibly come to our bodies. And in anything, a one-size-fits-all doesn't fit all. And that comes to birthing as well. And each baby we birth has a different way of wanting to come into the world, and the mother's intuition and her psychic connection to that, making those choices around that particular experience with that baby, that birth, that way of parenting. Every single soul that comes into the world is different. They come in with a different auric field and a different energetic field and a different physical form, of course, a different soul lesson, a different soul, destiny. So we have to take into account these things as mothers. We hold great responsibility as well as opportunity to bring our babies into the world in the way that we best feel fit for that experience with that baby. And no government can mandate what that looks and feels like across the board for every single baby and every single child and every single mother and parent. We must be able to make those choices for ourselves. We know our children best. And that was the argument that I had to justify myself with when I was doing the breastfeeding advocacy, to say that I know what I'm doing as a mother. I know what I'm doing. And at this sort of look of shock and horror, how can you know what you're doing as a mother? You can't know that. You need to have an expert tell you. And this is where we are going wrong. We are not trusting in mother's instincts, in parental choices, and the freedom to choose what is best for this child that you are with 24/7, that you have grown in your womb for 9 months. You know your child, yeah? And the violation of this, as I've written, is a very serious violation. And it is part of our human rights, but it is also part of our conscience rights, our conscientious rights as mothers and parents. And we should not have that dictated to us. If I am looking for that kind of assistance and guidance from someone on the outside, of course, I can reach out and ask. But inherently, innately, I know this baby. I know this child. I have birthed 3 children. I know my children intimately. I know my children without the need for an expert coming in and telling me what it is that I need to do and then mandate that across the board for all mothers and parents. It is completely against human rights and conscience rights. And I'm seeing a lot of mothers in deep despair at this time when governments are coming in to dictate to us what it is that we must do with our children. Imagine if it was the other way around. Imagine if I was dictating that every single woman had to have a natural birth, no medication, physiological, unmedicated birth, and that became law. And then on top of that, you have to breastfeed for 2 years or 3 years, and that is mandated. If we turn it around, we can see that it is very unfair to expect that across the board from all women. But coming back to the choices that I have made as a mother for the health and well-being of my children doesn't just come from being plucked out of nowhere. It came from a lot of research, in-depth inquiry, inner exploration, sitting with myself, really sitting with my decisions, and then researching on the outside. What is in the baby food that I'm going to feed my children? What is in the vaccine? What are the ingredients? This kind of research that we do, many of us do, is what underpins the choices that we make for our children and for our babies. And no one has the right to take that away from us. It is absolutely against human rights to expect that, of that mandating of what and how mothers care for their babies. So if I choose to go down the path of a natural birth and I choose to seed my baby's microbiome through my vaginal fluids, understanding what that looks and feels like, without any drugs, without any medication, without any interference, that is my right to choose that path. If I believe on a conscientious level that that is the pathway of health for my baby, then that should be my choice without justifying or defending that choice. I inherently know as a mother that this is the best way for my child to be born into my arms of love, into my arms, skin to skin. All of the understanding that I have, for example, about microbiome and seeding my baby's gut for future health, for the imprint of my baby's health for life. Then I choose to breastfeed my baby. So then I choose to feed through the breast milk that microbiome, the good bacteria in my baby's gut. I have chosen to do that because I have been conscientious about researching and knowing what is best for my child, for my family, for my circumstance. And again, I'm not dictating that everybody must be mandated to do that same thing. I would love to see that, but I do not have a right to impose that upon other mothers and, demand that they breastfeed, as I said before, 2 or 3 years. So these are serious violations of human rights of mothers. And we need to take a good, long, hard look at what are the conscientious rights of mothers, fathers, parents with their children. So, we need to really look at what is being created in society now. That health is coming from a needle, from a drug, from an intervention, from some kind of medication. Is that the way that I intuitively feel as a mother is the way that I want to walk this path with my child? My son, when he was 15 months of age, he's now 20. And my daughter, when she was 2 years of age, she's now 11. Both got whooping cough. In our immediate social circles, there were people who chose to get the whooping cough vaccine. There were those of us who chose not to. But I knew as a mother, if I choose not to vaccinate my child, for me personally, then whatever happens to my child in regards to their health, am I prepared to look after my child in the best way that I can to help them through this whooping cough? And that is what I chose. When my son got whooping cough, I was up with him for every 2 hours of every night for 3 weeks, breastfeeding him, holding him, caring for him. Giving health is not just a physical medicine. It is a medicine of the heart. It is the medicine of touch. It is the medicine of language. It's the medicine of energy. It is the medicine of feeling. It's not just that we physically try and fix our children from whatever disease or anything that we're frightened about. It is also about the energy, the perception of being loved, of held, of feeling safe, feeling secure. And every family chooses what that looks and feels like to them. So are you as a mother prepared to look after your baby if something does happen to them? It isn't the end of the world as we are sometimes made to believe, that if we don't go down the medical route, then something terrible is going to happen to our baby. We walk the path of balance. Most parents who are conscientious understand that there is a balance to this. So we are, as I said before, with our babies 24/7. And when you're breastfeeding, the connection with your baby is very strong. That symbiotic relationship with your baby. You know every sniffle, every cough, every movement, every growth that they go through. You are right there holding them safely through those rites of growth and development. And if you notice something has changed, we are not stupid as mothers. We have this interconnectedness with our babies. We have an awareness with our babies more than any doctor would know, any medical person would know. Yes, thank you. We are intimately connected with our babies and our children, and to intimate anything other than that is actually a serious violation of our rights as parents and as mothers. And I do not attest to agreeing to somebody else being the expert over my intuition and the custodian of my mother's instincts. That's what I hold as a mother, and that is what I teach every single day in my embodied birth work. And no one can sever you from that. No one has the right to take you away from that. So when we have made these deliberate, conscious and informed choices about what we believe to be the health of our children and our babies, that is coming from, as I said before, a deep research, a deep understanding of human health from conception through pregnancy, the way we gestate our babies, the health of the mother. What are the things that we do as mothers to look after our health? Emotional, physical, spiritual, psychic, all of those things, emotional, All of those things impact our baby's development in utero. And nobody has the right to mandate what that looks and feels like to every mother. We can make suggestions that mothers might be able to choose from those suggestions. We share what worked for us, what didn't work for us. But in no way do governments have the right to tell me as a mother what it is that I need to do for my child and make that into a law. We have the mother law, Lore, and that is what I follow. And that is what my ancient lineage has passed down to me as a mother. So I make those choices from a very educated, but innately educated point of view. Yeah, a conscientious point of view. As I said before, the violation of the conscience of a mother is what we are looking at here. As a conscience of the feminine is what we are looking at here. As a conscience of a parent is what we are looking from here. And you can't tar us all with the same brush. Some of us are making decisions from very, very, very deep understanding and knowing. And that is what needs to be upheld. And my children, my 3 children, are very, very healthy kids, all born naturally, 2 born at home, lotus births, getting all of the antibodies, all of the stem cells, all of their, nutrients through the cord, the blood, the oxygen. They weren't asphyxiated at birth. They didn't have their cords cut and then gasping for breath. They were not born into the arms of fear. And this is another topic I'm going to talk about. Why we have what's happening on the planet. The level of fear that's going on. Take you back to birth. The way that we birth our babies is in complete alignment with the fear that's going on this planet. And for 23 years, my voice has been put into how do we birth our babies? How do we grow our babies? What are the things that we do that imprint our babies for life, for health, emotional, physical, psychic, spiritual? Nobody has that right to take that away from you as a mother. So we need to stand strong. I will keep educating. I'm nearly 58 years of age. Yeah? I will keep advocating on this, that we cannot violate the rights of mothers and parents to do what is best for them with their babies. So I am very angry today because I'm seeing a lot of mothers who are in deep distress, more than the viral distress. This is causing distress on an emotional heart level, isolating people, distancing people. It's the emotional repercussions of this, the mental health repercussions of this for mothers and babies and children is going to be greater in some ways, in some places, than the virus itself. The virus of consciousness breaking is what is happening. The severing of people whose consciousness is very centered, has integrity, knows what they're doing in a healthful place and way of living life. Go into the sun, get your medicine from the earth, walk on the earth, swim in the ocean. These things are for all of humanity. This is the medicine of love and healing and health for the whole planet. Do not deny people this ability to go and sit in these places of nature, yeah? And stop mandating a one-size-fits-all drug for all people. This will not work. We've got to get back to the essentials of birthing. How are we bringing our babies into the world? What is the imprint in the limbic system of these babies? How is our emotional health, our mental health of our mothers and our parents, yeah? We are causing way too much distress at this time without thinking logically, rationally, inherently, innately, through the heart, through the logic. Yes, mind, body, spirit, all connected. Stop chopping us off from the head, from our body, from our hearts. This is getting really out of hand, and the distress it's causing is making me really see red today. And, it's bringing up a lot for me about my breastfeeding, as I said before, the advocacy that I did in the media for trying to prove, why am I still breastfeeding my daughter 5, 6, 7, 8? I don't have to prove that to anybody. I only have to stay in deep heart connection with my baby, with my child, and then the signals and the signs and the guidance and the compass of what to do will come through the relationship I have with her, through any relationship a mother, a father has with their children. Yeah? So people have to stop living in fear. Keep coming back to your heart. Keep tuning in. Yes, rationally between the mind, the heart, the body, the spirit, and make those choices that work best for you. We need to stand up all together now and really start being sensible about what's really going on. So, we need to, at this time, come back to our sensibility. No need to defend, exactly. No need to justify. And it's us who are actually the ones who are very high in consciousness around our health for our children that are the ones who have to justify. And as I said when I was breastfeeding, you don't need to justify anyone to anybody, yeah? Only to yourself. Come back to your own integrity. So that's what I wanted to come on and speak about this morning. And, just get that off my chest because it's been weighing heavily on me over the last few weeks. And if you are interested in my online program for pregnancy and birth preparation, Unlock and Awaken Your Birth Womb Wisdom, please find the link in my bio in Linktree. And that came out and it got launched last week. So, take a deep breath. Coming back down into the heart. Remembering to connect with Mother Nature. And she is clearing now. She is seeing with her third eye. Yes, it is the 2020 vision. We need to stay astute. We need to stay in our truth. We need to not be bullied. And we need to really keep our conscience strong. Shine up your conscience and stay true to you and your family. Yeah? Yes. Give you confidence to continue. Absolutely, darling. Your baby is so small. 13 months is so small. And as I suggest to women, if you can and if it resonates with you, at least 2 years to breastfeed. Yeah? And if you choose to breastfeed to natural term, when the baby child decides to wean themselves, and some babies wean themselves at 6 months, some at 6 years, some at 8 years. Yeah? So if you choose that, thank you, Mama stay. We say Mama stay. If you choose to keep on breastfeeding, yes, go as long as possible, darling. You just keep going back to your heart and your child and what works for the two of you. It is no one else's business. And if people are interfering, if people are trying to sever that connection between you and your child, they need to look at themselves. So you ask them, what is coming up for you when you see me breastfeeding my child? Because it's very interesting to see what is actually coming up to, the person who's attacking you. And people who are in their heart and in a love state and in a place of love would never attack a mother and a baby for breastfeeding. Yeah? When I was doing my advocacy, honestly, you would think that I was beating my child every day by what some of the things people were saying, the ludicrous things people would say, that, breastfeeding your child is wrong and they will be, have problems with attachment. And it's the opposite. When we push our children away before they are ready in their development, yeah, then they will feel that severance from source, which is the source within themselves, their heart, their knowing, their truth. And I didn't want that for my children. And I breastfed my boys for 2 years until I found out about natural term breastfeeding. So when I was 46 and I birthed my daughter at home, I wanted to give her everything that I had learned, everything that I knew about pregnancy and birth and breastfeeding. And I wanted to give her all of it encapsulate the whole as nature intended way of birthing and raising her. And I did that. And I was in allowance of her development. And this is where we go wrong. We are interfering with our children's natural development. And as I said before, when my daughter and my son got whooping cough, when they got whooping cough, I didn't try to interject into the development that I saw was happening through that illness. What happens is you see an emotional development in your children after they get a disease naturally. Yeah? So if you can hold them safely through that, and that is a decision you have to make as a parent. These are big decisions. That is why I was talking about our conscience before. They are big decisions that we have to make. Are you prepared to make those big decisions with your children? And then I saw an incredible leap in their emotional development, in their language, in their motor skills as well, after they came through whooping cough naturally. So, our medical profession don't talk about this. They never talk about when your child naturally gets an illness, whether that be measles or whooping cough or any of these things. There is a development that happens on a physical and emotional level. And I believe sometimes these childhood illnesses, if you are following it through from A to Z with that conscience, that sense of really walking that path with your child, and you are breastfeeding them, you are feeding them good food, natural food, organic foods, whatever that is, as well as the emotional connection, you are tuned in to that development that you see as a mother, as a parent. And that is so important, and it gets left out of the equation when we hear the health minister standing up and speaking. They have a very lateral, linear way of looking at things. It's the male mind is looking at things from the head. We are detached. Yeah, we are detached from our soul, our heart, our spirit. And that is what is happening. We are interconnected as mothers to all those aspects with our children. So do not forget that. Please follow your compass, follow your guidance. And it is getting more difficult. So we need to speak up. We need to stand up. We need to walk our talk. We need to live our truth. Yeah? We need to walk the path that we are educating others about. Walk that path. Walk your talk. Yeah? So it's easy to be the armchair critic and not walk the talk. It's easy to point the finger at other people. It's easy to blame and shame and make wrong when you are doing nothing in your own life. Yeah? And that's what we have nowadays. People who are criticizing and critical of others who are walking their own path and doing that well and coming in and, making them wrong and blaming and shaming them in a ridiculous kind of a way. So I implore for mothers, follow your heart, follow your intuition. Listen to what it's telling you. Listen to your children. Listen to your babies. Yeah? The psychic pathway. These health ministers never ever speak about the psychic pathway that is forged between a mother and her baby and a mother and her children. Yeah? Nature has given us this. This is what I talk about when I talk about as nature intended birth, as nature intended parenting and mothering. Listening psychically to your children's needs. Stop being distracted by those who are trying to sever you from that path. Keep coming back, keep forging the way. Yes, the psychic pathway. So important. So, I know I've gone on and on, but I'm very worked up today. And, at nearly 58 years of age, coming into this new aspect of my life where I actually now am just speaking my truth without the need to be approved of or liked or loved or any of that. What I'm seeing now is that I need to keep speaking up and keep inspiring the young mothers who are coming through, because you guys need inspiration. You need good role models. You need strong and powerful role models. Yeah? You need women of integrity and truth that you can follow and not be afraid and not be scared of what's going on. The more of us that can stand up in this truth, the better for all of humanity. Yeah? Raise that consciousness. Raise that conscientious knowing that you have. Please, all mothers, for all babies, for our children, they are our legacy. They are what we leave on this planet when we pass. Yeah, we are the lineage of love conscience for humanity. So sending love to everybody and wishing you all a beautiful day. Get out into the sun if you can. Walk on the earth with bare feet if you can. Take time to stand under the trees, listen to the wind, stand under the moon, gather the energy from nature, and she will lead us. Sending lots of love. Mwah. Namaste. Until next time. Bye.